Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Welcome to our webinar, Osage Casinos, Maintaining a Secure Environment with SSI POS. My name is Kaylee Kuhn from TribalHub, and I am thrilled to be here today with the team from Signature Systems Incorporated. We're going to get started in just a second, but while we're waiting for everybody to join, if you wouldn't mind dropping in the chat, what's your preferred pre-webinar beverage? Do you drink coffee, tea, water? Do you like to throw a curveball and put a pop in there throughout the day? I currently am sipping on a huge mass of ice water. That's my necessary fuel to get through all of these. So yeah, drop in your chat in the chat what we're drinking today. Ooh, coffee or ice water. See, gotta have some water throughout the day. And black coffee. You need some power behind your day, huh? And water. I love to see that. I know a lot of people don't get in their hydration. Nice, nice, Tony. And water as well. Look at that. That actually surprises me. I know a lot of people drink water, so awesome. Okay, well, we are going to get right into our presentation. Special thanks today to our webinar partners, Signature Systems Incorporated. Our partners are Mike Nardi, John White, Bill Delaney, Keena Brown, and Joy Roble. You will learn more about them soon. This webinar session will be recorded, and you'll be able to view the recording anytime on our TribalHub website. And you'll also receive a link to the recording today. So feel free to share that with anyone on your team. And here is a quick look at some of the learning objectives that we'll learn from today's webinar. Please feel free to use the chat or Q&A if you have any questions at all, and we'll make sure that those get answered. And for our fourth and final slide, this is just a reminder about our upcoming cybersecurity summit taking place next week in February, or in Florida, sorry. So if you guys have any questions regarding that, please refer to our website at tribalhub.com. And with that, I'm going to turn the floor right over to our presenters.
Thank you, Kaylee. Let me share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Let me just, great. Wonderful. Well, this is Mike Nardi with SSI. Thank you, everybody from the Tribal ISAC Forum. Today's topic is going to be centered on data security and how to keep your data secure between the vendor and the customer. In this case, it's SSI POS as the vendor and Osage Casinos as the customer. We truly believe that we've enabled an IT environment that sets a new standard in security. So throughout the session, I'm going to turn it over to Joe and the Osage team in a minute, and then the SSI folks will jump in on. But we'll create a dialogue between the both of us to hopefully see some benefit from this. And then at the end, certainly you can jump in with questions through the chat, or at the end we'll have some time for questions. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Joe and the Osage team.
All right. Well, thank you for allowing us to speak to you today. Keena and I, as well as the SSI team, are going to talk a little bit about our high level, an overview of how we approach securing our point of sale environment through SSI and Osage Casinos. I first want to kind of put a preface on the discussion by saying we're not here to tell you that we've perfected our cybersecurity practice. We, like a lot of other organizations, are always looking to improve ourselves, our security posture. We also know that cybersecurity is a never-ending journey. What we'll be sharing today is our practical, real-world look at how we think about point-of-sale security, the controls we prioritize, and how we continue to mature over time. With that, point-of-sale systems, as you know, are very integral part of the financial backbone of casino and hospitality operations, directly processing sensitive payment card information across every transaction, as well as loyalty transactions. As high value targets for sophisticated attackers, these systems demand robust protection. Strong security controls don't just reduce risk, they prevent operational disruption, protect guest trust, and ensure business continuity. So in an environment where every minute of downtime impacts revenue, so this is not something new to most of you that are on the call that work for tribal casino and hospitality operations. It's not like point of sale has just hit our environment today. They've been a part of our ecosystems for a really long time, and as the emphasis around cybersecurity has become more and more, we've had to mature along with the rest of our cybersecurity practice. And so again, what we're going to cover today is kind of our flavor of what we do from a cybersecurity standpoint for point of sale, how we work with SSI along the way. With me is Keena Brown, our security analyst here at Osage Casinos. So I'll talk a little bit high level, and he'll get a little bit into the weeds, and then SSI has I know some slides to go over. We definitely would love your questions after it's said and done, and if we can definitely answer and get into the weeds a little bit more and give you a little bit more like what products we use and that sort of thing, we certainly can do that at the end. So, but again, we appreciate your time, and I appreciate the time to spend with you to provide you with how we approach point of sale security. So next slide. So as far as our security strategy, we treat point of sale as restricted, high security environment, not just another ecosystem on our corporate network. It's operated as a cardholder data environment and a patron loyalty environment, and the systems themselves are classified as mission critical assets to us. So essentially, these are part of our crown jewels. As you probably heard a lot of people talk about crown jewels. That classification drives stronger control, stricter access, and more monitoring than pretty much whatever anything else that's within our environment. So again, we have different categories of highly sensitive systems. And with those, we establish higher degrees of controls and a little bit more emphasis on how we secure those environments. So next slide, please. So we don't just have technical controls. We also focus around governance. So we rely on policies. We rely on defined roles, clear separation of duties. From a control framework standpoint, we do follow NIST CSF 2.0 and PCI DSS, and we basically maintain a risk register of all those controls. And every day we're chipping away at risk register, and we're trying to improve. Where we're weak. There's areas that we're better than others, but overall we use NIST kind of as our guiding North Star as far as what we're trying to accomplish from a cybersecurity standpoint. Access is granted based on job function with least privileged approach, and incident response processes are established ahead of time, so we're not making decisions under pressure if and when something happens. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to kick it over to Keena to get into some of our more technical things that we do from a cybersecurity standpoint and point of sale.
Hello all. Nice to be here. Glad to be here. Can't wait for all your questions. So on network segmentation for our POS systems, they are operated on a segmented network that are logically isolated from our corporate network, from our guest network and internet-facing environments. These segmentations limit the attack surface and prevents lateral movement, ensuring our POS systems remain protected even if other networks segments are compromised. Network controls restrict traffic to only what is required, with firewalls tightly controlling both north, south, east, and west traffic. In case you didn't know, that's just basically external and internal traffic. This layer segmentation approach strengthens security and reduces exposure paths. Next slide, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
All right, hardening systems before deployment. Yeah, so anytime a POS system or anything of the sort is introduced into our POS environment, it has to go through strict security standards before deploying. Systems undergo security hardening designed to reduce the attack surface and enforce secure by default configurations. Hardening activities will include removing unnecessary software or services, applying secure configuration baselines, and uh, restrict enforcing restrictive communication paths as well. Some of the things that validate before being handled authorized to is process payment data or transmit cardholder information. Next slide, please. So for our monitoring, logging, and security tools, we do use a centralized monitoring and logging tool to maintain visibility into our POS systems. Those activities that we monitor are going to be configuration changes or security events. These tools support both real-time monitoring and historical analysis. Additional tools that we will be using would be things like vulnerability scanning to identify and access weaknesses, security monitoring tools to detect abnormal behavior, or access control technologies enforcing least privilege access. So together, all these tools and all these controls will help us to detect any type of incidents or events that may be going on at any time. Next slide, please. For our endpoint protection, it's deployed on every single POS station that we have. For technical support, these protections are designed to detect and prevent malicious activity without disrupting our POS operations. Some of the endpoint security capabilities include malware and unauthorized software detection, behavioral monitoring, and rapid containment when compromise is suspected. Endpoint protections is centralized managed, providing its team, us, with visibility and enabling timely response and actions. Next slide, please. As mentioned before, we are in the PCI phase right now. Security is aligning POS security controls with their PCI DSS requirements across people, processes, and technology. PCI gaps are identified, documented, and tracked through structured compliance planning. Controls are designed to minimize PCI scope wherever possible, reducing audit complexity and limiting exposure to cardholder data and systems. Scope to reduce results in fewer systems handling cardholder data, reduced audit complexity, and overall lower risk. Next slide, please. Currently, right now, we are going from P to P to P to P. I'm sorry, E to EE to P to PE. This is going to encrypt the data from the point of capture and protect while in transit. We are in the process of going to, like I said, P to PE and further strengthening the payment security systems that we have. What this will help to provide is reduced PCI scope, minimal exposure of clear text cardholder data, and enhanced protection against skimming and memory skimming attacks. Next slide, please. For our continuous monitoring, POS stations, related stations are subjected to continuous vulnerability identification. Findings are reviewed for risk and exploitability, prioritized based on impact and payment systems, remediated or mitigated in controlled manner. This proactively approach reduces the likelihood of vulnerabilities being exposed in the wild. Next slide, please. SSI security approach, I believe.
I'll take that, Kiva. Thank you.
Okay.
So yeah, we're kind of a unique animal in the POS space in that our POS is PCI compliant. We do support P2PE, obviously, as well as NFC for your Apple Pay, Google Pay, and EMV, which we've actually supported since 2016. We take it a step further, and we were actually PCI DSS compliant as a security service provider which also includes MasterCard and Visa. You can find us up on their websites as validated security service providers. And what I like about that is they come in and they evaluate our entire environment. They're looking at our staff. Are we getting background checks? They're looking at our networks to make sure we're doing appropriate segmentation. They're looking at all of our policies from an information security standpoint, and making sure that we're reviewing them on a regular basis. They also require another third party that we use, Siketch, and they come in and check everything out. So it's really a robust certification for us to have, and forces us to stay current with standards and whatnot. They're obviously also making sure that we're looking at our vulnerability and patch management, our incident response, and we also have to practice that on an annual basis, just to make sure that everybody's fresh, everybody knows what we're doing, and everything's working. I think you can go to the next slide there, Mike.
Mhm.
And as a PCI validated security service provider, I think something that's really helpful for smaller properties that maybe they don't have the budget to support some of these cybersecurity initiatives, they evaluate things like our SIM and our FIM that we're able to offer as a service, as well as antivirus, our firewalls, managed firewalls. So you can pick and choose those a la carte if you'd like, and check those off the box for PCI and reduce your SAQ. Bill, did you have anything to add to that?
I mean, just kind of building off of what Keenan said, from our perspective, monitoring and remediation is one of the biggest aspects we offer. One of the big parts of PCI in general is being able to monitor and identify threats. And, our SEM and FIM products do that. The file integrity monitoring alerts us instantly when something that should never be changed is changed, or, just can actually alert us to daily process that, we're updating virus definitions, things of that nature. So we ingest all that information for you as a customer if you subscribe to our packages, and we provide that level of security in a 24/7 knock situation.
You can go to the next slide, Mike.
I believe I'll pick back up here. For our access control and identity, access to POS systems is tightly controlled using least privilege policies. Access reviews are conducted regularly to remove stale or excessive permissions. Administrative access is limited, monitored, and subjected to additional oversight. This is both for employees and vendor access as well. Other than that, I believe that is it. Next slide. For continuous improvement, I believe I will hand this back over to Joe, and he'll finish us off.
Yep. So again, we know that cybersecurity there's no end in sight, right? Everybody is on a different maturity level. Everybody's on a different part of their cybersecurity journey. We're one of them. I wouldn't say we're the least secure. I wouldn't say we're the most secure. We're somewhere in the middle. We're right where Osage should be right now, I'll say. We also know that we have a long journey ahead of us, like a lot of organizations. We do view security as a destination. Threats evolve, standards change, our operations continue to grow and evolve. This means that controls have to be constantly reviewed, adjusted, and improved over time. We love information sharing, especially in communities like this. It plays a big role in our evolution. We love to network. I love networking with all the different folks that are in the region and across the United States that are in the hospitality and travel gaming space. One of my favorite things to do, because I truly believe we learn through community. Again, having a partner with SSI, we do obviously, from a user perspective, we have to work with SSI carefully orchestrated, to ensure that their employees are licensed, make sure that they have the proper credentials to access our systems. And then, of course, they have to remotely support us. So, we for those of you that are in the gaming and hospitality space, that process from a mix standpoint that we're required. We have to ensure that, the folks that are coming in to support us, to help us support these systems, have least privileged access. They have controlled access. We don't just give them carte blanche access to our systems. And so when we need their support, we have the portals the mechanisms to allow them to come and remotely support us. And they come in, do their job, and then they get out, we log it, and we ultimately move forward. But that has to be a carefully orchestrated process that we work through with SSI. One of the things that SSI does on our behalf is, we are contractually working with them so that they can help us manage our menus. Again, that's something that's highly sensitive, highly secure. We want to make sure that's well coordinated. We have an approval process that we go through here internally when we have menu changes, and SSI has been amazing, to adhere to those processes. So again, having that partner that we can work hand in hand and just work together on what's best for Osage, and what's best, to make sure that our patrons' data is secure, the credit card information is secure, the loyalty transactions that flow through these systems are secure. So again, I'm not preaching anything new, but we do have crown jewels, that are generated through the point of sale transactions that are very important. We have obligation to protect the privacy and the integrity of these transactions for the Osage Nation. So again, it takes a really good partner to work hand in hand with us to ensure that we get these things done. Again, we continually have litmus tests on our own processes, our own controls. We work with the virtual CISO to help us, with our best practices. That helps us, continue to strengthen our posture. We're constantly looking to improve. We're always looking for vulnerabilities within our environment. We do bring in third parties to come and assess our environment. We have used partners in the past that have come in, taken a look at our overall environment, including point of sale and gaming, and making sure that, even though we were secure a year ago, things have evolved. And as Patch Tuesday comes around every month, so we have to ensure that we're always constantly looking for what is the next vulnerability that's out there. We use a couple of different products to help us manage that. From a segmentation standpoint, we have, a lot of great tools that help us manage that segmentation and ensure that that point of sale environment's encapsulated and nothing can get to it. And we only allow, again, the traffic that needs to get to it in order to make things work. So again, I'm very thankful for the partnership that I have with SSI. I'm thankful for Kina, helping us strengthen our controls. The other thing I'll say from a Osage perspective, we don't have a large team of cybersecurity professionals here on staff. Kina's, one of my main people, one of the people that provides the most emphasis around cybersecurity from an analyst perspective. But we take a team approach. I have a technical services team. He manages part of that security stack. I've got an applications team. He helps manage that part of that security stack. I still am deeply involved in trying to set the tone and at the top, around security. And again, as cybersecurity is not just an overall IT initiative. It's an organization initiative. So I'm thankful that I also have leadership support, within our organization that helps us, champion and help sell the security message across the organization through operations. Again, we do take cybersecurity very important, especially as it pertains to point of sale. And again, I'm thankful for the partnership working with SSI to get us to where we are. And next slide. I don't know if we have any more. No. So, quick high level understanding of Osage Casino and SSI and our partnership and how we approach securing our point of sale environment. I think we have a lot of time for questions. We kind of rushed through the slide deck, so open it up to questions, I suppose. The point of sale station does not connect to the internet. What we do is what does connect to the internet is essentially the credit card traffic, right? That has to route out and essentially get out from a payment processing standpoint. So that goes through and John and Mike, you might want to talk about the process of how that routes through. But the terminals themselves, no, they do not.
Yeah, and as far as POS management with patches for it, we push those from the server, which is on site, so that's not touching the internet either. That's all manually done.
Looks like we have had a few other questions in the Q&A. Someone is asking, can you share more about how you test vulnerabilities with the POS specifically?
We test vulnerabilities with the POS specifically.
Yes.
Generally, anytime that there is a vulnerability, let's just say we have a vulnerability on the system that's recently come out, our tech services team will typically go and update a test machine that they have in their lab, which then they will test any type of card handling transmissions or anything of the nature that may be handled during that point, as long as it is no abnormalities are come about, then it just moves ahead and goes on to production, which will be live updating the floor.
And as far as identification of those vulnerabilities, we use a product called Tenable.io, and essentially what that does is we have scanning mechanisms, periodic scanning mechanisms that go through and looks at all the inventory of all of our devices, including point of sale, and it comes back and brings us, essentially vulnerability score. And what we do is based upon the environment and how it's secured, we put prioritization and we have different SLAs as far as how quickly we need to remediate and what we remediate. And again, so that's just a constant thing that we're doing all the time. So
that's a really great point, Joe. Thanks for adding on to that.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. But just to build on that, we also actually use Tenable here in house, and we maintain stations for every OS that we currently support, and we're running vulnerability scans as well. So when we need to patch something on the OS level, we're going back and making sure the POS continues to function, it didn't break anything, or if we need to build a patch to fix the POS so that all of that works in continuity.
Yeah, to build on what John is saying, I mean, what we do in the back end is if we do find something, it's actually pushed out to every customer. So if we find it on customer A, it goes out to every single customer we have because it's a vulnerability across the board. We have a mechanism from the server side to connect to each of the workstations on site and push any fixes, and then we'll also build in the repair to the image so that each new station that gets built already has the fix put in.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that, Bill. Dropping in again on the Q&A to see if anybody else has dropped a question. It looks like somebody else is asking, how did you evaluate SSI from a security standpoint?
As far as evaluation, for me, we've already had SSI when I came on the board, so I probably couldn't speak too well to that.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand quite the question. Like how would we rank them, or how do we evaluate them? I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, I believe it's just asking how you evaluated, I think, going into the partnership, how you evaluated them from a security standpoint.
Well, as far as whenever we make software selections, we have a software selection process that we follow. It's broken down by, business need. It's broken down by, integration and how things work within our environment with other systems. We also put an emphasis around security, right? So, again, from a cybersecurity standpoint, all this stuff is here local, so it's not like it's hosted. So we didn't necessarily have to worry about, them having, their SOC requirements, and they're not necessarily handling our data, and they're not hosting our data. So, really, that kind of relaxed, essentially what we emphasized as far as, security. So really, we just basically rank them, and evaluate their security based upon how we're going to maintain it. Again, we obviously want to make sure that, number one, that SSI PDQ is PCI DSS compliant. We make sure that, again, they're going to adhere to our internal controls as it pertains to access. They're going to basically follow our licensing process. Again, our team is more of a hands-on approach where we maintain that server environment, from the operating system standpoint. We take a responsibility for the operating systems on the point of sale stations. We do, again, we add our own monitoring to that environment. So, as far as how we evaluate the security of them, they're just, I would say, from, the other providers that we have used, they're just as secure. They take security just as I'll say important, right, as our other vendors. They definitely take the same level. They have the same level of concerns that we do. If we do get breached, that's a black eye on both of us, right? If that happens. So again, from a security standpoint, I hope I'm answering your question, but I guess that's how we've looked at, how we looked at their security, I guess.
Awesome. I think that's a great answer for that question. It looks like somebody else here, Renee, dropped another question asking, how does your F&B employees log into the POS stations on each shift? Name, number, code, card swipe, etc.
That's a great question. So essentially, one of the things that we've introduced with SSI was biometric. So we have the ability to log in via code. We have the ability to log in via card, but we also are working towards moving towards biometrics. All of our point of sale terminals do have fingerprint biometric installed on them. So, essentially we have a couple of different ways we can access. Obviously, one of the problems with other point of sales and with other organizations that I worked at, there's the challenge of people sharing their IDs, to get things done from a supervisory level standpoint. So again, we make sure that employees have the ability to use biometrics. And then again, supervisors and above, we encourage biometric and card, so that the employee, can't share, or they do not share their PINs. So those are the three different ways that we can log in. The employees can log into SSI. Again, we're trying to move everybody towards biometric, because it's hard to copy a fingerprint, right, versus sharing a PIN and a card.
So I'll also go and say, just to make sure, because just to make sure the question, specifically for food and beverage employees at the terminals at which they take orders and things like that, they do use a card to log into the point of sale system. in order to take orders that way. As far as logging into the actual terminal, as far as a user account for them, that is just done through a general service account that has least privileges attached to it.
All right, thanks for adding to that. It looks like we are all wrapped up with all of our questions. Did you guys have anything else left to present?
If you guys have any questions, we're always happy to take them. Just throw them at us and we'll answer them as soon as we can.
Awesome. Well, thank you to all of today's presenters for sharing your insights. If anyone would like to get a hold of them, please contact us at tribalhub.com and we'll make sure to keep you guys connected. Also, look for the email tomorrow and please share the webinar link with anyone on your team that may benefit from hearing this. With that being said, this has been such an amazing conversation. Thank you for joining us. I'm wishing you all a very productive rest of your day and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you,
Have a
everybody.
good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Thank you, Mike.
Great job.